Alright, let's talk about the RAFALE. War Thunder's newest top tier 4 starter. The acceleration is so dang good that even on 1-1 throttle, the RAFALE will happily rip its wings off if you're not being careful. You'll start redlining around 1400, not too bad, but if you push past 1450, let's just say that your wings are gonna detach faster than your team's morale when somebody with 8 AMRAMs comes up in the sky. So word of advice, stay below that 1400 mark unless you're feeling lucky or you just like to really hate yourself. Now on the bright side, this thing is absurdly agile. In close range engagements, you can whip around faster than most players can even panic flare. Combine that with its terrain hugging capability and you've got yourself the perfect recipe for a fighter that can be terrifying in the right hands. As for the Mika missiles, great seekers and great pull, but the range is mid at best, so therefore you have to stick to closer fights where you can absolutely embarrass people with the RAFALE's handling. That means no jousting with A120s or Eurofighters and F-15s going Mach Jesus in the sky. Alright, since we're out of missiles and our RWR is literally exploding like Chernobyl, the only way we can survive this is going back to base and hugging the deck, but that doesn't happen because a flanker comes off to our right. No worries though, we should have absolutely no problem dealing with him. The RAFALE thrives in close range engagements where its agility coupled with the Mika's missiles 50G overload and the good seeker can shine. You whip this thing around and force your opponents into a position where they can't escape. At longer ranges though, the Mikas do tend to fall off. They just don't have the speed or range to reliably hit maneuvering targets, so it's all about adapting to the situation that is in front of you. So in long range scenarios, patience is gonna be your best weapon. You let the enemy come to you. If they're closing in at Mach 1.2 in something like an F-15C, chances are they won't be able to pull away in time. The RAFALE's radar is fantastic, and once the Mikas do get in range below 20 km and preferably 15 km, they are incredibly hard to shake. So just wait for the right moment, line it up and send it. It might not feel as thrilling as getting into knife fights, but it's quite efficient. Personally, I do lean toward close range fights with the RAFALE because I feel that they're more dynamic and let the RAFALE's handling really shine. That said, knowing when to hold back and playing the patience game makes all the difference in a tough match. Whether you're dodging missiles or baiting your opponent into your Mika's range, the RAFALE has all the tools you need to keep the fight on your terms. Now let's talk radar. The RAFALE is rocking an ASA radar and it is the first fixed-wing aircraft in War Thunder to get one of those bad boys. So Japanese F2 fans, I know you're out there, but you gotta wait for that one to make its debut. For now, the RAFALE is straight up dominating in ARB with the radar. It locks targets up from miles away like it's reading their address, and once it is locked, good luck getting away from it unless you hide behind a mountain. The radar is the best radar we have right now for a top tier aircraft in the game. The flight model though, it is quite solid, but it is not the best thing in the sky right now. For ARB, it is quite good, but the F-15E and Eurofighter will hold their speed way better than you when you're turning in a BVR match. The RAFALE can be a bit of a speed dropper when it's up high and pulling those hard maneuvers. The Strike Eagle though, that thing can literally turn with you, keep its speed like it's on rails in a BVR match, but hey, the RAFALE will still do the job. It just doesn't have the stamina for long hauls at high altitude. Now when it comes to 1v1s, I haven't run the RAFALE against a Eurofighter yet, but the RAFALE is definitely gonna struggle in a sustained turn fight against something like the Gripen. The Eurofighter is probably gonna edge it out there as well, especially when you're talking about a 2-circle raid fight, but throw it into 1-circle fight, especially with sim controls. The RAFALE might just pull ahead if you can play your cards right. It's all about forcing your opponent into the kind of fight that a RAFALE will want. One mistake I see a lot with RAFALE players is that they take it into high altitude long range BVR duels, especially against jets like the Eurofighter or F-15E, both of which are packing a bunch of AMRAMs, and frankly that is a big tough matchup for the RAFALE. Yeah, you do have solid missiles, but they are no match for the AMRAM in extended ranges. So when you're high at high altitude, going full speed, you're not going to outrange or outfly them, no matter how maneuverable the RAFALE is in close range. The Mika is good, but it struggles when it comes to range at those higher altitudes. So the key here is going to be patience. Don't rush in, let them come closer into your wheelhouse, and that's when you can unleash those Mikas and make use of your HMS. So don't joust at them with 30 km, that is not where you'll shine. One thing you really need to nail when flying the RAFALE is gonna be positioning. You can't just rush in and try to joust with AMRAM carriers at high altitudes. You're pretty much asking to get smoked. The RAFALE is a fantastic dogfighter up close, but it does not have the range in BVR to compete with stuff like the F-15E or Eurofighter at those altitudes. So what do? You need to get sneaky. Positioning is everything. You can't just fly straight in. It's all about out where you're going to be placing yourself on the battlefield, what I like to do normally in RAB is to keep the enemy off my nose, either to my left or to my right. Never go right in the middle, because that invites trouble from all directions. If you're off to the side, you can always track the enemy's movement, stay on their tail and avoid getting blindsided. Keeping them on your left or right will make sure you always know where they are at. You're basically turning the fight into your favor, forcing them to come to you on your own terms, and essentially if you use this tactic you won't get blindsided and you won't get tunnel vision. And here's the thing, if you're sitting right in the middle, your awareness is going to take a pretty big hit. You've got more angles to watch, and that is exactly when you'll get surprised. But when you've got your target on your left or right, you'll know exactly where they're coming from and where they are. Therefore you can react much faster than if you were in a furball, and that is when you fire off those Mikas and get those kills without taking too much risk. And if you're positioning like this, you're playing it very smart, because you're not just rushing into high speed head-on engagements, you're waiting just for the right moment, biding your time, you're controlling the pace of the fight, and that is what is going to give you your advantage in the Rafale. And that is it for today's Rafale breakdown. If you take anything away from this video, it's that patience and positioning are key when flying the Rafale. So don't dive straight into high altitude BVR fights with AMRAAM carrying planes, especially against jets like the Eurofighter or F-15. Use the Rafale speed, agility and radar to your advantage, including those Mikas in close range fights, and wait just for the right moment. If you found this video helpful or just enjoyed it, don't forget to like, subscribe, help me hit that 500 sub goal by February. It takes less than a second and it really makes a difference. Drop a comment below with your thoughts, how you fly the Rafale and any tricks that you might have. Until then, fly safe or not, and I'll catch you all in the next one.